me tell you about him. Jesus is his name, and I'm all about him. I live to bring him praise. He is the way and the truth and the life. God is 3 in 1, reigning undefeated. Our God is overcome. Jesus, Jesus.
What's going on, God Gold? I hope y'all are having an awesome day. It's a little different version of the usual gold. As you can see, this is what we're gonna call road gold because I'm obviously on the road. I'll be honest, lately I've kind of struggled getting some messages out. I've made some excuses saying I'm too busy, I'm too tired, I'm too this, I'm too that. But I'm learning more and more that it's not about how tired I am, it's not about how much time I have. Because I can always make time for it. I can always trust in the Lord to give me the strength to do it. So, as you see, it's been a busy day, and was thinking about how I was going to go home, actually coming from my papa's house, and was spending time hanging out with him, and was thinking about how am I going to go home this late, knowing I got to get up early, and put together a God Gold message for everybody, a message that they deserve, to give them the best possible start to their day. And I was thinking about that, and then I just thought, hey, I've had a buddy tell me in the past, like, I love the videos because I can just hit play and listen to it while I'm doing other stuff and working and stuff. So I don't know how to do the audio, but here we are. Got a video of me in the road Gold, #1 edition, first of its kind. And like I said, I was at my papa's house for a while, and it's always such a blessing going there and just always leaving uplifted, encouraged, and just a chance to sit under his wisdom and to sit under his stories of experiences of what God's done in his life. And it's something that I don't ever want to take for granted, because it's one of those benchmark moments in my life. It's moments where no matter how busy I am, no matter what I have going on, no matter how I feel or how my daily walk with the Lord's going, it's something that always leaves me uplifted. It brings me back to the Lord. And it's those kind of conversations and relationships that I'm learning more and more to invest my time into more than other places. Because that's the kind of relationships and combos that grow you and move you closer to the Lord. And even if you feel far from the Lord in any kind of way, it brings you right back to Him. And it grounds you in His love. And just so thankful for my papa. And gosh, I just feel so full and so excited to share this goal with you. Sitting there listening to so many stories. And also, I need to say, since I'm doing road gold while I'm driving, Nana, I apologize. I promise I'm being safe. I'm keeping my eyes on the road. That's why I decided to put the camera on the road so I wouldn't look at it. So Nana, I'm good, I promise. And I love you. Just wanted to let you know. So I didn't want you to worry about me. But just having so many conversations tonight, kind of hearing from his stories in the mission field, Alaska, Wyoming, Gulfport, Louisiana, just so many places where he's went with such great need and people in such great need, and just hearing how they got to those places, hearing how story after story of how either they had something else come up in their life and they didn't either want to go or think they could go, but God always made a way. And that was kind of the main theme of everything they said, that like it was none of them, but it was all God. So as I sat there and listened and get in my car and start driving back home, I'm thinking, about all the times in my life that it's been all God, none of me. And I'll be honest, it's every second since I've found the Lord at 22 years old. It's been all God and none of me. And that's something I thought about the other day that just really hit me. Every second since 22, when the veil was taken off my eyes and I saw Jesus for who he truly was, every second's been him. Every single thing that he's done. As much as I would love to take credit for it, everything that's good has been from God. Everything that I've done that I would love to take credit for, my pride would absolutely have a field day in it. But every single thing is God. And it's just so humbling to look back on all those different things and to think about all those different things that God's done. And even these messages, as I sat there and my papa asked me how the God Cult got started, how it even came to be, and I was taking him through how it got going, and it's literally the whole truth of the story is I had no intentions, and every time I've tried to put my hand in it, it's just went in circles and sputtered out in every direction. But every time that I've stepped back and stopped doing, God has done above and beyond what I could have ever imagined or done on my own. And it's just so awesome to be encouraged by that. To sit there and hear those stories in their lives where they've been in situations that did not seem like things were going to happen, did not seem like things were going to work out, did not seem like things were going to amount to anything. How God takes broken, hard situations and he molds them for our good. He molds them for the good of his kingdom overall. And he continues to use us anyways. And something my papa said that really struck me when he was praying was, God, just help us remain in your will, because that's the best place we could ever be. Help us be obedient to stay in your will, because there's no better place to be. Even though sometimes being in your will can be hard and bring up things that we never thought we could do, help us stay in your will. And that's something that really struck me hard, and I pray it hits you just as hard or harder. It's such a strong statement of living a life in God's will and being obedient to his direction in our lives. And I was sitting here thinking, even going to my papa's house, I've been there probably 10 different times. Any regular human being, right, would already know the direction to go. But I always have to plug it in my GPS because I am so directionally challenged, and I struggle so much with directions, because when I'm driving places, I'll be honest, I literally pay no attention to where I'm going. I'm just driving. Where other people can drive something twice and know it by heart after that, I'm still typing in my GPS. And I was just thinking about that example and kind of what my papa was saying. Like, we are so directionally challenged, whether we know places by heart or not. In our daily lives, when we try to go off what we got, when we try to go off of what we think's best or the way we should go, that we struggle, we sputter out, and we go through some stuff that it's very unnecessary. But in those moments of obedience, when we are just completely surrendered to God, when we're completely surrendered to his spirit and surrendered to where he wants us to go. And I was thinking about those verses, Proverbs 3, I want to say it's 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding. and He will make the paths to your feet straight. And I don't know if that's word for word, but it's so true. When we trust in the Lord with all our heart and lean not on our own understanding, life looks a lot different. I was even making excuses tonight that I had different things I needed to do. I was busy. Maybe I should just reschedule dinner at my papa's. But for a week now, it's just had this tug on my heart to go and spend some time with my papa. And then I go and I leave so uplifted and so encouraged and so just brought back to being grounded in God's love and my relationship with Him, just from listening to them and listening to the stories and listening to all that God has done and listening to all those benchmark moments in their lives where God has challenged them and pushed them out of their comfort zones and filled them in ways that they could never have done on their own, or nothing in this world could have ever done. And to think that if I was going off my directions, I would have missed that. And there's so many moments where I'm going throughout my days and I'm trying to figure out where to go and what to do. And it's a daggum struggle. Like I'm telling you, it's so hard. Because we get so turned around, so distracted by all these different things we have going on in our lives. And we get so... And there's so many things out here in this world that distract us, that the enemy uses as a tool to distract us, especially in America, where we've got TV, we've got our phones, social media, and so many different things that are always pulling for our attention. And the enemy uses that tool for a purpose and a reason, to pull us away from our focus being on God. And something else that I heard tonight spoken from my papa was just how much it means to sit and be still before God and to just be quiet. And I know that that's something that I struggle with a lot, and I'm still working on a lot in my life, but just something to think about. How are we sitting still and being still and quiet before God? How are we getting away from the distractions and the many different things and the busyness that our lives entail? And all these things that we think are super important, but honestly they don't mean a load of crap compared to sitting before the almighty, powerful King of Kings, our Creator God. And it's just something that's really convicted me, and I know I've went a lot of different directions in this message, but it's just so cool. And I challenge you, if anything, to take some time and sit still and just think about all that God has done in your life. Because in the midst of all those distractions and all that busyness, it's so easy to lose track and be fearful and be filled with doubt and so many different things that come up in our hearts and internally inside of us that hold us back and hinder us from walking in God's ways, from being obedient to Him and seeing what He wants us to do, listening to His voice as He guides us down the road of His righteousness and making our path straight and moving us into places that only He can move us into and doing things that only He could do. I challenge you with this: to be still and just listen to God, to be still and to just think only about those things that God has done in your life, those moments where God brought you out of something that you couldn't handle, those moments where you were facing something that was so bad and so hard, and you were going back to what Leanne said yesterday, and I encourage you strongly to go back and read that post from my friend Leanne, because it is such a powerful word. And thank you so much, Leanne, for sharing that with us about waiting and how God, we think if we live by sight and not by faith, in our sight we see nothing. We see terrible stuff going on. But when we live by faith, when we sit there and live by faith in a God who is bigger than we could ever imagine, who is more powerful than our understanding could ever comprehend, when we sit there and we think out of faith and live in faith and think about all the things that He's done to bring us to where we are today, all the obstacles He's brought us over, all the hurt that He's left in our past way behind us and brought us into a new life through His Son Jesus Christ, all the things that He's created us to be this very day, and all that He's done in our life, all those benchmark moments where we could just sat back and we said, wow, God, You are amazing. And all those moments where we know that we could have never done it, but God did it. And it was all God, none of us. Just something to think about. And I challenge you with it. To use your GPS. As my little brother said once in a Bible study, shout out Josh, God is our GPS. And I forgot what the GPS initials stood for. I'll have to let him remind you, but God is our GPS, and without His guidance and His direction in our lives, when we try to live by sight, we're going to struggle. When we try to be the GPS, we're going to struggle. But when we trust Him as our GPS, when we live by faith, when we sit still and lean not on our own understanding, but trust in the Lord with all our heart, and constantly be in memory of those things that God has brought us through, those things that God has done in our lives that is way too big for us to even ever think about doing, life looks a whole lot different. And I'm so humbled to even be sending this message to you right now. And I just challenge you to sit at the feet of our Savior, to sit in His love and be quiet, be still. Put aside all the distractions and all the things of life and the busyness that comes with it, and spend time with God. And just a challenge for you today. And I know that went a lot of different directions, and I'm kind of rambling at this point, but just pray that strengthens your faith, and I pray that moves you closer to the Lord than you were before you heard this message. And I thank you, whoever you are listening to this right now, I thank you so much for who you are. And I thank you for all the things that God's going to do in your life as you become obedient to His will, as you live in His will. Even though that can be hard at times, there's nothing on this earth better than living in God's will. And I just pray for you today that you would be still and quiet to see that. And I hope you have an awesome day. Hope this message was an encouragement to you, and maybe some good listening material on the way to work. Y'all have a good day, good morning, good night for me. And first edition of Road Gold is now over. See ya.
Let me tell you about Him. Jesus is His name, and I'm all about Him. I live to bring Him praise. He is the way and the truth and the life. God is 3 in 1, reigning undefeated. Our God has overcome. Jesus, Jesus,